Welcome to the Indie Author Show, which is fortnightly on Callan FM, and my guest today is Ghazal Jabeen.
Hey, Sue. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Yes, it's we've got a lot to talk about, and I think this is going to be a full show. So everybody, get your cup of tea and or your coffee, sit up, pull up a chair, make sure you're listening to Callan FM, and Ghazal and I have loads to talk about. So we'll come back. She hasn't actually published her book yet, but we're in the process of doing that, and it's an incredible story. So we'll be chatting to you about that. And hi, Gaz.
Hey, hi, Sue.
I told you. Actually, I should warn our listeners, because once you and I get started chatting, we may not stop. So this is supposed to end at 1:00, but
that's going to be interesting.
So, Gaz, I've known you for quite some time now, and you've just got an incredible life. And one of the aspects of your life, because you do have quite a few prongs, don't you? But one aspect you're writing a book about, and it's going to be out in November. Now, this is in tribute to your late husband, Martin. So it's all about pancreatic cancer. It's about purple. You've just done a climb up Mount Snowdon to raise money. So anyways, I'm just going to let you loose. What would you like to talk about first?
First of all, Sue, thank you for having me on the Indie group, Indie Author group. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad to be here to share my story. My story is really emotional, as you know, and you've known me for, it must be over 7 years. And you've seen my journey sort of from where I kind of came from and how I've evolved as well, and the tragedies that's come along my way. Positive purple is what's kept me going. And
positive purple, that's what it was. I knew it was purple something.
Yeah, my positive purple campaign, and I'll share with you how that came about as well. But the mountain climb is Project 77 is what we call this, and of course it's been a tribute and in memory of my late husband, known as his full name is Harold Martin Swindells, and he's known to everybody as Mr. HMS.
Mm-hmm. Now, why was it called Project 77? I meant to ask you that before.
Yeah, that's an important one. As somebody else asked me about that. My main thing initially was that because I've been fundraising for pancreatic cancer, which is what Martin had asked me. I'll explain how that sort of came about. But Project 77, the 77 was that I was one of the flags I wanted to put up there if I got to hit the £10,000 fundraising figure that was in my head. I knew it was going to be quite a job trying to come through the cancer side of it, but if I got fundraising as well, and then I thought, well, what kind of figure we always set goals, and I thought, well, my goal would be if I got to 10k, that's quite a nice good fundraising amount, and if I did, I'm going to go climb mountain and I'm going to stick a flag and say I've done the 10k. But because a lot of people know a lot of what I do, and people are connected with me in so many different ways, and I'm known as an international female for a lot of people, and recognized as the work I've done and my background and everything. So I wanted to put 7 flags on Mount Snowdon with 7 global messages. So shall I tell you what they are?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the first flag that I wanted to put up there was, of course, is not forgetting my roots, my ground roots, where I come from, and that's the Pakistani flag. That was really just, we all go through life and the busyness of life takes us, and I just wanted to share that my origin is that I was actually born in Pakistan. I didn't speak a word of English when I came, but it was really just to remind myself of my humble beginnings from my little lantern-lit village that I left and arrived here in the UK, and how the whole world from the eastern side to the western side appeared, and that flag was up there to salute my country, and we call it Pakistan Zindabad, and that flag was there to stamp that. The second flag was the flag of India. Mm-hmm. And most people, Sue, as you know, they know me as Ghazal Jabeen, the Bollywood Queen.
Yes.
So
that's how I met you.
Yeah, that's the name that most people know me. And of course, the Bollywood part of it is from the Bollywood movie industry. And the name stuck with me, the Queen bit stayed with me. And it was really to salute India for that part of it. That's really, a lot of people have recognized me for the movie scene of the Indian dance. And I'm, as you know, an award winner of Bollywood Burnout, which is my business as well. So it was to say thank you, India, for that, and for where the flag is. And the two flags really would put that together as well, because the two countries once fought each other, and I wanted to bring that together in that loving way to say that, yes, we may have fought India-Pakistan, fought over some boundaries. What better way than to take it to the highest point, to shout it out, to say we're together in one world on Western soil, bringing Pakistan and India together. So that was the reason for those two flags. My third flag was the Union Jack. That is basically my father. He brought us as a family over here to England to give us a better life, better education, better prospects in our going forward in our lifestyle and everything, and our education. And so, of course, the country of United Kingdom served well for us with all the education and everything we had available. And from that, we took that, we learnt well, we shared that. And to Her Majesty the Queen, we want to say thank you for giving those opportunities. And we are serving back in the country as well. The fourth flag, which is the Welsh flag.
I was hoping the Welsh flag would make an appearance.
So, of course, the Welsh flag is an important flag as well because, number one, putting the flag on the highest mountain of Wales, Welsh flag had to make its statement larger than life. And, of course, my children are Welsh. My family, Martin's family, background is also Welsh. And my business has been in Wales. And a lot of my people who've known me for what I've done has been in the time I've been in Wales, which is over 20 odd years. And the government of Wales have served me well to support my business from the Welsh Assembly for when I started my business in the health and mobility side. The government of Wales down, the Assembly, Welsh Assembly have also supported my pancreatic cancer campaign. Okay. So the Welsh flag had a big, important part to play so that we proudly showed that flag off there as well.
So what was that, number 4?
That was 4. Okay. The fifth flag, the fifth flag was the World flag.
Right.
I work for a company called World. I'm a partner, I'm a president with World Global Network, and this was about giving opportunities for people around the world to generate their own businesses, working from home around their lives, giving them flexibility, and it was in the industry of technology and wellness.
Right.
So that was really to say I haven't just made a difference to people on my doorstep, but I've made a difference as a world changer around the world. And to salute the company, the CEO of our company, Mr. Fabio Goldi, he wanted to make a difference to people around the world for better health, for self-monitoring, and to give them opportunities to create a good income to build their lifestyles better. Mm-hmm. So then we go on to the sixth flag, which was for the Lady Leaders Global.
Right.
As
you're
you know,
a member of that.
I created that. I'm a founder of Lady Leaders Global, and the idea with that was that as a role model for all the women out there, this flag was representing sisterhood, motherhood, and every hood that a female wears to carry on their everyday life duties of every challenge they've had, from everything from their home life, their business life, the business women out there for thriving through challenges from health side and like breast cancer as well. And women have fought through all these things. And for women that are championing other women, and that was really just for all the females in the world, from little baby girls to the women, seniors, and everybody in between, to say, ladies, we can do this, and we're doing it strong and proud, strong like the mountaintop. We're standing very, very proud. And then, of course, the seventh flag. The most important flag is the flag for Pancreatic Cancer UK, which actually the flag was a personalised flag with a wheelbarrow with the name Mr. HMS, because Martin had did when he got diagnosed, he wanted to raise awareness. He wanted to start the journey. He said to me, I'm going to change your world. And that was weeks before he passed away. And I smiled and thinking, how's he going to change my world when he's only got a few weeks to live? And he said that he wanted to, he was clearing out the garage. He wanted to take the wheelbarrow. He said, I got a spare wheelbarrow. I don't need this. And our son said, well, the zoo that I work with at the Welsh Mountain Zoo, well, they could do with it to help the animals, Dad. He said, I tell you what I'm going to do even better than that. I'm going to take the wheelbarrow myself. Now, Martin could barely walk from the latter part of his cancer advanced stages, and he took that wheelbarrow from our house. My daughter wanted to support Daddy, so she held our little buddy, the dog, in front. Martin had the wheelbarrow, and I had the wheelchair in case Martin got tired and needed to rest. We had my cousin Andrew, who took the photographs. My Charlie, our son, he waited for us to meet us at the zoo entrance. We went from our garage with the wheelbarrow, and Martin walked it, puffed and panted all the way. He had a little few breathers. We went through the last little tiny climb, and he said, I don't know about the cancer killing me, but this hill is killing me. And he said, but he carried on, but he could see our son waiting on the finish line, and he handed the wheelbarrow over to the head gardener of the zoo, and he said, and that story, Gaz, I want you to share in the awareness campaign, and that's how it started.
So how many miles was that?
That was about a mile and a half.
Mile and a half.
And he could barely walk around the house.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, his muscles were weak. He was on chemo. He had also the brain cancer as well, because the cancer had spread to his lungs, so the breathing was a challenge.
Right.
It had gone to the lymph nodes, and it was secondary in the brain in two parts, one major part. So his concentration levels were not good. So it was really...
that was a huge achievement for him. Yeah. And so what he said to you, basically, he wanted you to it wasn't so much the fundraising side of it. If I recall, he wanted you to just raise awareness, right?
Yes, that's correct, Sue.
But you, being you, of course, you're going to raise funds as well. So I remember you and your daughter basically turned Conway Castle purple, didn't you? Now, how long was that after he passed away? Yeah, this was actually quite a strong emotions and high emotions, because Martin passed away in October, and we literally on the 12th of October 2014 Martin passed away, and at the funeral a couple of our friends, Jan and Frankie, they listened to the wording that Martin wanted to raise the awareness. So they said that the November is the month of pancreatic cancer awareness. Why don't we keep this fresh while everybody knows about why Martin passed away, and we'll help you. And the positive campaign started from there. Mm-hmm. And what happened is, for me, I was looking on the internet, because I was trying to get to grips about this pancreatic cancer of Martin, wanted raising awareness, and I needed to know more. I realized that in Canada, the Niagara Falls were actually lit purple. Yes. And my country.
Yes, your country, Sue. So you see, we were meant to be together on this journey. And the falls look beautiful, and it was the International World Pancreatic Cancer Awareness where they were lit purple. And I thought, oh my God, that's such a big statement and such an empowering statement. What can little me do in my little Wales, in my little town, to do that? And then of course I thought, what's little here is fine, but what's big in here? So then I thought, the castle's big on my little doorstep. So and a lot of water about it. So I rang the National Trust, CADU, and I said to them, this is my story, and I would like to light the castle purple. And then I got the heat-resistant film. My daughter and I, we went around the castle walls with their permission. Every floodlight, up the embankments, through the gates, through the light, through the walls, through every part of it. And I remember my daughter standing just on the edge of the wall as she was putting the last lot of the film on the floodlights. She looked up and she said, Dad, I hope you know how difficult this is, us doing this, Dad. It's cold, it's November, it's freezing, there's a wall, there's a water, I could fall into it, but we're doing this. But Dad, I hope you realize that we're fulfilling your wish. And we lit that castle, and the picture that's been admired so greatly.
Oh, that picture is just gorgeous.
You know who took that? It's a very good friend of mine who also knew Martin, and Justin Van Maal from Fresh Pics. And he said to me, Gaz, I want to donate this picture for you because of your fundraising side of it. And that first campaign, a month after Martin passing away, we had the community get together, and all the money for the per ticket for that little get together and to do in the castle, and the monies for the picture were donated. And that was how the fundraising by default, really, the fundraising kicked in. Ours was just the awareness, and the fundraising was people wanted to donate for it, and Justin is so proud with that picture, and that's how the campaign really started.
I'm sure people can find that if they Google Conway Castle, and that was November of 2014, and you can see all the lights shining. I mean, Conway Castle is beautiful at any time of day or night, but with those purple lights, oh gosh. I had that as my Facebook banner for a long time.
Yes, beautiful,
it's
right?
Gorgeous. So
to see a castle all lit up purple, and knowing there's a reason why it is lit up purple. We donated that picture, but we actually presented that picture to the castle as a thank you for us to doing that.
Oh, good. Yeah. And what's Justin's company name?
Yeah, Justin is from Fresh Pics.
Fresh Pics, okay.
Photography.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. So that's basically how this all started. Martin, how long did he have the cancer, like from the diagnosis to when he passed away?
Yeah, in fact, when we first got diagnosed, it was all about his eating habits that changed, actually, Sue, when we realised something was adrift. But one day he said to me, you know, wifey, you know that I only married you for your curries? I actually can't do with those curries anymore. I said, if that's the only reason you married me, now you don't like the curries, does that mean you want a divorce? And he said, no. He said, we've come this far and we'll see it through. And then he said, foods were not settling with him. And so that was the starting point of something was adrift. And then he said, but the good thing is, though, I found a good diet. I said, what do you mean? He said, I've lost weight. I have Weetabix in the morning, crunchy nut flakes at lunchtime, and shredded wheat at night. I said, well, that's not a good diet. That's cereal 3 times a day. I said, you're going to kill yourself. It's not a balanced diet. He said, yeah, but at least I'm losing loads of weight. And you knew that something was adrift. And from that pickup and some tests that were done, and when they got the results of the tests, they sat us down and they told us that Martin had advanced stage of pancreatic cancer. And although they had expected at where we were at and the kind of treatments available in Wales at the time, the type of chemo, they said that you're looking at about 11 months. But because there were other symptoms that Martin showed, like a loss of grip in his hands, and he said it's like somebody who's had a stroke that cannot, the brain, something's happened that they can't pick up things. And then they did a brain scan, and that's where the brain cancer was picked up. And then the consultant said, Martin, it's a bit of a change to the time frame. And from what we thought was 11 months, in fact, we're looking at 3, and Martin died just 9 days short of 3 months.
Okay.
From diagnosis.
So this was basically 2014 was a complete upside down in your life, really.
Totally.
So, okay, well, we'll go to a track and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about kind of where you went from 2014, you know, from that moment of which I'm sure was filled with emotion and pride and so many different things when you lit up the Conway Castle, but then where you went after that. So
sure.
Now I'm just wondering if Jude Guilford is listening from Scribblicious. I just want to send my listeners to scribblicious.com, and they're also on Facebook, because Jude all through the summer is having workshops at her at her studio, I guess we should call it. Should we call it a studio, Jude, if you're listening? It's in Flintshire, so, you know, close to Cheshire, North Wales, Merseyside, Shropshire even. So loads of different workshops happening over the summer on jewellery making. And Jude's Scribblicious is all about taking quotes from books and making them into bespoke items, whether it be bracelets, necklaces, pendants, clocks, mugs, whatever you can think of. So check out scribblicious.com. She's a big supporter of the Indie Author Show and Team Author UK, so I just wanted to do a shout out to her. I also wanted to thank Julia Berg, because Julia came and did a film and TV workshop with the Team Author people on the 7th and the 14th of July, and it was brilliant. Julia is an independent film and TV producer from London, and she's going to help. I'm sure we're going to have at least one of our authors have a book that is optioned, and Gaz, maybe yours will be as well when we get talking more about your book, because it's a great story. But we'll come back to you and talk a little bit more now. We understand kind of the beginning and how your world was turned upside down in 2014, but now we're at 2018, and you have taken Martin's wish and you have raised the awareness incredibly, and not just in Wales, but, you know, all over the Northwest. And I'm sure nationally you have as well. So lead us up to them. What happened sort of, I'm sure once 2014, after you did the Conway Castle, and then it was kind of like, reality set in, right? And then where did you go from there?
Yeah, because it was a difficult time to just get to grips with what had just happened in our lives. We were at crossroads in our lives, and how do we move forward? And I think for me, how do I deal with grieving process? And because Martin had really, for me, had sort of sown a little seed about that awareness, in some way it was going to run parallel to my life as well, so that I can still continue that part of it, which was helping with grieving, but also how do I look forward to moving on as well. So for me, the thing was to come into grips with now being a single parent, not by choice. Single parent by choice. I didn't know where my situation was, where my standing was, how do I financially cope with life, where do I go with my business? Because I always used to turn around and say, what do you think, Martin? Shall we do this? I no longer had that partner that I would sit with everyday decisions, even if there were silly decisions like, shall I have my hair up or shall I have it down? Little things like that. And suddenly I had to really think myself. A very good friend of mine called Beryl Lindley, was doing a course called Positive Intuition, and she called me over and said, I'm doing a course, it'd be good for you to give me some input with your experience in business and everything, but I think the course will do you good. That was the starting point of my positive intuition that really helped me to move forward. So number one, I was starting to think for myself, follow my own gut instinct. Where do I go? Does this seem right? Then I was running the stuff with the wheelbarrow race, which was the fundraising side. Got in touch with Pancreatic Cancer UK for their support with it. I had the Just Giving page that had set up and everything, and that led to other people knowing about my campaign. So we had the Rydal Penrose Choir. They did their bit for us of their own free will. And it's interesting in fundraising because it's not always easy, and we all have different charities and we all have different causes and people's personal losses. So it's difficult always to kind of put your bucket out and say, can you put some money in our fundraising pot? So I remember with the Rydal one, we had our little stall there with our little collection boxes and our information and Martin's picture, but people went by and the odd person put a $5 in. And then the next thing was, after the choir did their singing and everything, and they wanted me to go and do my talk. The minute people understood the talk, understood the depth of the loss and the heartache, the bigger effect overall, the rippling effect of that loss, people were really in tune with the story. When we came back out of that talk, that money box, that collection box, we had raised over £800.
Wow.
from just so that was again the importance of understanding is not just about my loss, it's about somebody else's possible loss and what people are going through. So then when I had done Martin's story, I thought it was going to be a little article in the paper. When I sent the information, turned out when I went to get the paper, I sort of walked from my house to my newsagent shop and expecting some little column to have my write-up that Martin asked me to put. He'd passed away by then. And then, lo and behold, every paper frontline picture of Martin's face there. In every I was just there. I didn't realize that it hit front line of the big full page and an inside story, and that really escalated from one thing to another through the campaigns, through the wheelbarrows, through the very good friend of mine, Svetlana from Green Pages UK. She said she wanted to support that in Chester area. We did a daytime event where the Sheriff of Chester supported for that daytime event. She then wanted to do a gala evening, and Sue, you were also massive support for me for understanding what I was working with, and I want to thank you here while we've got this moment to appreciate your input, your understanding, your rushing with everything else that you do, but to know how important it was. So your help was greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for that. The same with Svetlana, because people understand the story, the heartache, and we lit up the cathedral thereafter. We lit up Llandudno Pier. We lit up the hotel where we had a fundraising event in Llandudno. We had singers that came to support it. We had people, write-ups, magazines, papers, articles, and the story has gone international. Yeah. Now
Positive Purple, and now I get where the hashtag Positive Purple comes from.
Yeah.
Because it really took you, and it was almost like a machine, do you think?
Yeah.
That it just kind of took off, and then you were just riding along and you couldn't get off?
I couldn't get off.
No.
You're right.
And I'm sure at some point you're trying to grieve, but you're also thinking, well, I can't just walk away from this. And you're thinking, I'm guessing what you're thinking, but that Martin would be proud of me. I have to do this. But at the same time, you're probably thinking, I need time for me. I need some alone time. I need to grieve as well.
Yeah.
So where did that sort of all come in? Did it sort of hit you all at once? Or?
Well, the main grieving part for me came, Sue, when I said I wanted to put all this in a book. Sometimes you want it to be voiced of some of the things that were challenges, especially the difficult time Martin had through the hospital side, because I had gone to the health board through the support of my assembly member, Darren Miller, and we wanted to share a lot of the big mistakes that were made, a lot of medical negligence side, and people were saying about, you should report this, you should do this. And I was like, I just want nobody else to go through this suffering. And I took that. There was a lot of investigations done. And the only thing I got from the hospital was a sorry. My whole life had turned upside down. The business we had to shut because of what we were going through. And to suddenly just be told a sorry and nowhere to voice my opinion any further. And I thought, you know what? If I don't have a stage, I'm going to create my stage. I'm going to create the awareness of what we've gone through and no other family should do. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to really put all my thoughts. I suddenly wanted to just open up my heart about our hurt, about the effect of the family, about the pitfalls, about the dark zone, about the areas that people don't realize what we're going through in the four walls of our home. And I thought, I'm going to put this in a book. And this is when I reached out to you, Sue, because I knew a lot of the work that you've done with Team Author UK and the copywriting and people you've known and the stories you've heard and support you've given and your big heart as well for understanding people. And I thought, who better than this lady who knows me so well? Because for me, to open up my heart, open up a book for somebody to read was really, I was going to pour in everything. Yeah. And that allowed me to have my own stage, my own voice through a book that everybody around the world internationally can read it, and nobody should go through it and hopefully pick up something. And what I did was I needed space to do it, but I procrastinated a lot, by the way, with this book, and I'll tell you why. You asked me a question about grieving. I knew that if I was going to write this book, I was going to open my wounds again.
Yeah. You said there was a lot of tears during this process.
Yeah, and I put off, and I thought I got to deal with this, and what we also wanted to do was to make sure the book was being launched at the right time for the main topic of it. And so my very good friend, as you know, my bestie, Glenys Griffiths, and she toured me on. She said, Gaz, time's getting on. You need to get this book done. I said, yeah. I know. She said, but yeah, have you made a start? She was on my case, which I needed somebody to be on my case. So I went to the beach, Pemamar Beach, and in front of me was the ocean. There was pebbles in front of me. I got the notepad, I got the pen, and I just put my heart and soul, and I started to write. And like I said, Sue, there were more tears on those sheets of paper that I was writing than there was ink, because I was now grieving. Mm-hmm. I was reliving everything that had gone through, everything.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry. This is so difficult for you. I know. And the thing, what I was trying to say to you is that you were on this train. You were on this journey that you didn't actually want to be on. Nobody asked you to be on this journey. You just kind of... because, Gaz, everything you do is so 100%. Well, it's more than 100%. It's 110%. And I'm sorry that this has been emotional for you, but it's got to be done. Yeah. And you wouldn't want it any other way, would you?
No, absolutely, Sue. And I think just just sharing my tears now is it just shows that I'm far from healing. Yeah. But this is a process I know I have to go through.
Because people see you and they look at you and you're always smiling, you always look beautiful, but there's pain going on behind those eyes, those gorgeous eyes of yours. So thank you for sharing that with us today. So we've got lots of, real life emotions coming out here on the show today with Gaz. A lot of my authors that I have on the show, they've already published. So in this instance, we have Ghazal Jabeen, who hasn't published yet, but we are looking for November, which is Pancreatic Awareness Month, isn't it? So we have a date, don't we? The
24th November.
Yes, because I said I wanted to be there, but the 23rd of November was my daughter's 18th birthday, so we couldn't have it on the 23rd. That's a shout out to you, Kate. Anyways, okay, so we kind of left off where you've written the book. You've kind of got your first draft is done now, right?
Yes.
After the show today, you and I are going for lunch. We're going to go through and kind of work out the chapters. And so we've got some work ahead of us now. But a lot of, I'm sure there's a bit here and there that you're going to have to add and tweak and so on. But for the most part, hopefully, the hard part for you is over with now. So, and with the November date that we're shooting for, all should be good. And I really value you and what you give out to people. I mean, you're constantly giving, Gaz, and that anybody who's ever met you knows that. you just don't kind of worry about what's going on in your own life. It's just, what can I do for others? It's you're just so incredible, such an incredible person. And I want to send a shout out to somebody else that we were sort of a little trio, including Glennis. So not excluding Glennis, because she's very special as well. But there was you, me. Well, actually, I guess it wasn't a trio. I can't even count, because there was you, me, Svetlana. So that was the trio. But then we brought in Lindsay Burgess. And you and I were talking today about Lindsay and how just being in her company makes us laugh. And I think how she actually was on Kellen FM yesterday. I think it was yesterday, the day before. And, we were watching her and we were just giggling, weren't we?
She's hilarious.
She is. But what I'm trying to say is that people come into your lives for reasons, and people are there to support you and help you through this. And I think you realize that, you recognize the value of having these connections, and you really people give you a lot, but then you give back, and that is that's something about you, Gaz, that I've really I really value in our friendship. So thank you for asking me to be a part of this journey with you.
Thank you, Sue, and it's an absolute delight to have you with my journey. As we said, we started out together, we've done lots of things together, and we're still doing lots of things, but we have a great friendship bond as well, of understanding as people who we are as well, and I love that about you. I said from the day one of your warmth in your personality, and every time what I've seen is you also recognize it, because you do that. You connect people up. You are being known as the connector. And helping people to accomplish what they want to. And for me, you're like a guardian angel for me to get this message out, to kind of see where we want to take it, and really just trying to offload some of it from me as well, which is a big help that I've needed. Like you said, you get on a train, you don't know when to get off, how to get off, and you need people like yourself and Lindsay, who's just been adding the fun to keep it going. Svetlana, who understood my emotion and wanted to support that as well, and everybody, and also my children. I need to say that the most difficult part for them in their life was their education, because to losing their dad in the midst of their most important years of studying, which was about the difference.
Tell us where your kids, what their names are and where they were at.
So my eldest boy, Mikhail, and he was at Bangor University. He was coming through with his automotive engineering, and it was so difficult for him because it was about for him to be working towards graduation. We have middle son Charlie, who was still at that time when his father passed away, was at school last year, and then our baby girl, which is daddy's girl, Jenna. And Jenna's interest has always been to be a vet, and she said, actually no, Dad thought I'd make a good vet. I just wanted to work in the zoo with awesome animals. But one of the sad things for the kids was this, especially for Jenna, when she finished, when they have their ROA and they've got their ball gowns, and they want the parents to see them proudly leaving the compulsory years of education, her dad wasn't going to be able to see her. And that was really so sad. But at that time, I took her dad's car, which for some of those people who know Martin's special car, which I bought for him, was a Bentley. And I said, your dad's kind of with you, because kind of this is his car, and just think he's with you looking down. And that was it. And then Charlie, again, his leaving do as well. Dad wasn't there, but he had some pickies there, as though Dad is. And Mikhail, when he graduated last year, he would have loved for Dad to have been, to there. When he got his first job, he said Dad would have loved the project. My first project of engineer, CAD designer. He said to actually design a 1920s Rolls-Royce part.
Oh wow!
And so
Martin would have loved that.
He'd have loved that. So the kids are really. We're also heartbroken, have stayed strong, but they also wanted my time, and my time was between survival for business, working through the campaign. They've been right with me on the journey, but of course they've missed out the mum as well. So it was now time for me to give the children some of that time, that I feel that we make sacrifices to going through the job we do. And that's something that I need to put some effort in.
Well, you're
there.
very driven, and I think that your children recognizing that in you. I've got 3 kids as well, and I never stop working either. So there is something that we do, that we show our kids of how we just don't give up no matter what life throws at us.
Yeah.
So that, I think Martin would be very proud of you for that too. So let's just talk a little bit more about, well, kind of where we came to with the climb up Mount Snowdon, which was just the 14th of July, so just last week. And then the book, which we have a title for, called, and I love this title, it's called Loved, Lived, Lost. So if you just want to chat to us a little bit about, the Snowdon bit of it and where we're going next.
Of course, Snowdon was the pinnacle point of this fundraising and awareness campaign, and for each person that was with me in spirit and in person. Like I said, some people were disabled, so they couldn't walk up the mountain. It is the highest mountain, so they went on the train. And the aim was, if I got to over 10,000. In fact, Sue, as I was sitting here in the studio, we're just on the brink of £11,000 that we've actually raised. And the climb was to have everybody that understood the story, understood the message, understood what we're trying to do, and spread that awareness. So we did the climb. It took us from everybody registering. We kind of got 9 o'clock registering. By the time we were at the top, 3-ish, then the train came with the other people at 3:30. The flags were put on there as well. Everybody championed, and we did a high five to Martin. And for me, I had already envisaged that this, like saying, Martin, this is the highest I can get to you. You're up there. Yes. This is as high as I can do. A high five to you. And I also remembered my dad, who I lost as well, and mum-in-law. So that's what we did. And this was then the final chapter that I wanted to put the Project 77 into the book, which, as you said, and for me, the subtitle of that book is a love lost, a wish made, and
something accomplished.
Yeah, and a mission
accomplished. Yeah. So I'm assuming probably the last bit you've got really to write about the book is what happened at the top of Mount Snowdon, and I saw lots of photos from that as well. A shout out to Jeff Tudno as well, because yes. Jeff's always there with...
Jeff has been with me right from day one, because he also was a friend of Martin, and he chosen this charity as one of his. He supported the filming of everything we've done, and a massive love and respect for Jeff for doing that, for everybody that's helped us to marshal it. We also had the mayor of Colwyn Bay. Actually, he would have trekked it, but he didn't judge his back, but he gave us a send-off to support the campaign, because he's seen what I've done with everything I've touched, and he gave us a send-off. So there's going to be a film going to be coming out to show everybody's troops that were marching at the top, and every emotion and the clippets of it. And my Martin's daughter Jackie, her husband Steve, Martin's grandchildren as well were part of the campaign, and they've been with me throughout the journey. So it's been completely from friends, family, people that I very rarely knew, but in a short time they were right with me on the journey. So a massive respect to everybody.
And pancreatic cancer must be just thinking, wow, you're the best thing since sliced bread.
They've actually acknowledged it. They actually want to help support my book with the forward in it. They gave me the well wishes. They want to. They've featured it onto the main Pancreatic Cancer UK site. Everything that I've done, all the events I've done, they've featured them, published them, and given us the support. And they want to be present during the book launch as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Nothing like a real life story that can help a charity with their efforts. So, the fact that you've come into their life, even though it was sad circumstances, but you've come in and helped pancreatic cancer awareness so much in this country. So I'm sure everyone is aware. Now, just quickly, because I told you when we started that we would be running out of time. Can you just talk about a few of the symptoms?
Yeah.
In kind of what age and when should we be kind of keying in to what's happening?
I think the way that our dietary changes in our lifestyles are changing in the foods that we consume as well. So one of the things is the pancreas that's responsible for two major things. Is one, to release the insulin, and that's dealing with whatever foods there is to deal with the glucose in the bloodstream. So that's one area of what the pancreas does. And the second one is the digestive enzymes it releases to help break down the foods. So as we get older, the organs age, and I think although it was mentioned mostly usually in their 50s, 55s, but I think these days even people in their 40s. So if they're picking up symptoms from bloatiness and unsettled foods that they cannot cope with, a lot of the time we get told it's IBS. You know, there's IBS and there's something else going on, and I think people need to persevere with their screening or testing or speak to the doctors more about it. I myself am undergoing some further checks in regards to that area, and the other thing about it as well is that when people get fatigue syndromes, it's extreme fatigue. Most people take a little sleep and they usually recover with some energy back. If you're more tired, waking up after rest, there's another indicator something else may be going on as well, which was with Martin. Jaundice is another one. And the other thing that we don't talk about is, when a dog does a little poo and they say, oh, he's ate that pink ball or yellow ball and it's come out in his poo. We adults don't talk about toiletry habits, but actually one of the crazy scary ones is floating oily stools that are indicated that the pancreas is deficient because it's not doing the job, and that's a big sign, and people don't talk about it, and we should start talking about things like that.
Okay.
And those are the things, but I have featured them in the book, and in the book, Sue, as well, what I have shared, and when people read this book, it's going to be every step of the journey, from not just the diagnosis, the feelings, the symptoms, the mood, the about 15 wrong diagnoses that Martin had, thinking it's fibromyalgia or it's this, that and the other, and in fact it was something else, and we're drugged up a lot of the time for the wrong things, and that's a toxic issue as well anyway.
Plus it's time wasting
And money cost. And so in the book also will be shared the lowest point in the book of our heartache, and what did Martin say when he got told he has terminal ill condition with pancreatic cancer. I'll be sharing the real heartache in the book, and also the journey that went through, why his wish was. I also want to share the last few hours that's in the book of what Martin and I went through and what we shared in the last few hours before he passed away. And then how did I deal with the children? I'll explain about the dam, the feeling like there's a dam that we're dealing with, and also how we can get other people that are currently dealing with it or challenged with it, but to really be open and ask and inquire, and more information is now being shared online, offline, and this book was really to inspire people to say that we're not the first as a family that's been touched by cancer. We won't be the last, but we are staying positive through this campaign, and from this book somebody's inspired to take action, that somebody's life could be picked up on some symptoms early enough. And that was my aim, was to say that it's sadness, but we stay positive, Purple, and we need to be the strength for others as well that's feeling weak.
So this book will be available from Amazon and other places from November of 2018. Gaz, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Can you give us your website and your social media for people to go
Sure. So my main website that I'll be putting all the information is on ghazalajabeen.co.uk. And same on my Ghazala, for those people, is Ghazala, and Jabeen, Jabeen. And so Ghazal Jabeen on Facebook, Instagram. There's Mr. HMS Pancreatic Cancer Awareness page as well, dedicated to Martin. And most of the information will be shared from those pages, that people can pick up the following links, and the donation page, which people we're also going to be giving a percentage of the book to pancreatic cancer for the funds that we get from that side as well, to support the ongoing Positive Purple campaign, and that's the justgiving.com/Gaz-Jabeen as well.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing some very raw emotions, but also, where this book has come from and what you've been doing. You're, as I said, a brilliant woman, and I'm very proud to call you my friend. Now, I hope that when this book is released in November, that can be the start of you, letting go and just having proper grieving time. But before we sign off, I'm back in 2 weeks' time, so you can listen again to this show, and we'll also share the link to this show, won't we, on both our pages. For a fortnight, I'll be back with the Indie Author Show with new guests. But I think my final track is going to be Angel, which I think is fitting. But let's do a high five to Martin right now.
High five.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, we missed. There we go.
High five.
And that's Positive Purple. And thank you to my guest, Ghazal Jabeen. All the best to you and your family. And please read up on the symptoms of pancreatic cancer.
I just want to say also, Sue, thank you for having me. Thank you for sharing this and taking on my project with this book. Thank you.
I'm very excited. Okay. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.